So about a year ago, I was just another footballer with average to rather poor mobility. Feeling stiff and sore was just normal for me. But today I want to show you exactly how you can get this level of mobility where you don't have to stretch for multiple hours every week. And the reason this path to this kind of mobility works so well is because you don't need any equipment to start with, and also you don't need any previous experiences. Beginning with an easy regression of the movement you ultimately want to be good at gives you a clear path, clear direction to work towards, and everyone really has the chance to start working right now. So it's worked for me, and since following these exercises, these principles, I went from an average footballer with okay mobility to be able to do all of this, feeling great. We're gonna get rid of inner thigh tightness, this outer hip tightness behind the knee and in the hamstrings, as well as tightness in your hip flexors and quads. And I'm going to show you step by step how to open up those tight areas in the most effective way possible. No time wasted, just passively stretching for hours or foam rolling for hours just to tighten up a few hours later again. And this is coming from someone that only got this flexible within the last year. So let's get started. So I mentioned we're gonna open up the front of your hip, those quads, those hip flexors. And the most important exercise for me to achieve that was the cow stretch, really getting those shoulders to the wall. But the great thing about this exercise is that it's so easily scalable, right? So you can go up to a couch or whatever elevation you can find, and then just put your foot onto here, and this is going to make it easier than having your foot also having to stretch on the wall. This is really going to allow you to start comfortably, and then also the same thing is to bring your shoulders as back as possible, but not by arching your back, but by actually pushing back into that object, right, with the shin. It's not about just arching the back. And I think when I started this exercise, obviously I wasn't at the point where I could just go in there, shoulders to wall. And that's the great thing about it. When you're first starting, you might start here, even with something to assist you, right? And then from here, you can slowly work your way up. And the thing that's really going to make sure you get the fastest progress is to get into this stretch with intent, like really pushing that shin into the wall, contracting your quads, contracting that back glute here. Really, you should be feeling your quad being extremely hard right here. And even when you're back down here, you also push your shin into the wall. You feel your quad contracting. And then over time, you can work your way up, push more and more up. When you're really opening up, you're reversing those effects of, let's say, sitting, right? When you're sitting here, your quads are pretty close to your upper body. And then when you go into that couch stretch, you get them as far away from the upper body as possible, really stretching out those muscles. And as I said, when you're starting out, find something. That's why it's also called the couch stretch, where you can put your foot onto a couch is perfect for that. And the other important thing is to get enough padding under your knee if it's uncomfortable. The more comfortable you can really get into this stretch, the better your progress is also going to be. Now the next exercise is an ATG split squat. For this one, I need a little bit more space here, but just to show you quickly, now we open up the quads here. Now we're getting more up into the hip flexors by doing the ATG split squat and really loading this position. Like you see it, it's the gravity is pulling down and the hip flexors get stretched under load. And this is also another reason why I made so fast progress. Like I wasn't just passively stretching around, like holding this 15-second hold here and 15-second hold here. I was actually stretching with intent, like using that ATG split squat. When I first seen it from Ben Patrick, I was like, okay. I couldn't start there because like my mobility wasn't that good. I was starting with elevation, and that's the other thing. Like if you're bad at the ATG split squat, if your mobility is not good enough, you start with elevation and you can still get the same effect here on the hip flexor. That's a great thing. When you're in knee pain, you get yourself some assistance and perform the same movement again. And then over time, you can lower the elevation, get lower and lower. Now we got rid of that quad tightness, that hip flexor tightness. Now the next thing I want to do is to target the back of your hip, the hamstrings, the behind the knee. This is something that's really, really uncomfortable. If you're tight there, you want to get rid of it ASAP. And you can start doing that by getting into a regressed version of the elephant walk. You have the elevation here, so it's going to be easy for you to completely extend your knees, flexing those quads in that position, coming back, extending one leg, both back, one leg, both back, and just doing it like this. And then over time, you lower and lower and lower. And the goal is palms to floor, really contracting those quads, pushing your feet into the ground. This is also another stretch you're doing with intent. You're not just passively, like this. No, you're going really hard on these, really feeling that stretch, holding that for a second, coming back, feeling that stretch, holding that, coming back. That's how you make mobility gains. Like, it's not about just passively stretching. When you're strength training, you're also not like repping out the reps like this, right? The exercise. It's the same for the mobility. If you take mobility, flexibility more serious and actually do it with intent, think about the muscle you're stretching, that's when you make the most gains. And this is also the next thing I want to talk about when we stretch out the outer glute. It's a simple exercise, no equipment needed. Again, you just get onto the floor, get into this 90-90 position at both knees, and then you turn towards the knee, left knee, if we want to stretch the left side. And if we turn around, do it like this, we're going to stretch the right side, right? So now here in this position, it's about actively thinking about those outer hip muscles, pushing those into the ground. I already feel the stretch now. And now to make it even better, we get both our hands and perform kind of like a push-up, getting the chest to the knee, like this. And that's where we're going to make real mobility gains instead of just holding this position right here. So we're gonna get that chest to the knee. That's the goal. But obviously, if you can only go this far, you go this far and you push your knee more into the ground, and then you try to go a little bit further. Then when you're at your limit again, you push again, try to go a little bit further. And that's how you're making real progress in this exercise. Again, thinking about those muscles. Now we stretch out the front, we stretched out the outer hip muscles with an easy 90-90 pigeon push-up. Then we got rid of that hamstring tightness by doing the elephant walks, right? It's just a regressed version of the Jefferson curl as well, because ultimately you can get into a loaded position here with the Jefferson curl and get even more mobility. But it's totally enough to just start with elephant walks for the hamstrings, couch stretch, just a wall needed really, nothing more than that, or a couch. Get extreme mobility here in the quads, get rid of that tightness. And then ultimately we want to strengthen obviously that inner hip as well. Get rid of that inner hip tightness, get rid of like those adductor issues, those groin issues. And how we're going to do that is by simply loading that position as well. It's not about passively stretching this position. It's about loading this position. We don't even need weight, but gravity is our load, right? And our upper body pulls us down here while you keep those legs straight, quads contracted, toes pointing in slightly, and you're feeling this. It's going to be really, really hard to just get your head to the floor. That's the ultimate goal here. Knock your head on the floor, but you can also start by getting your elbows to the floor, and even more regress, you get your feet closer together. But the thing is, even here, when you get your feet closer together, when you're starting this exercise, you have to have the intent of stretching out those adductors, this groin area here. So when you're starting here, you don't just do this. You flex your quads, you push your feet into the ground, toes pointed in slightly, and then you really want to get as deep as you can, feeling that stretch extremely well. Obviously, never working through pain is the same rule here, never working through pain. But if you understand that mobility gains don't just come from passively stretching, but actually like forcing those muscles to stretch under load and adapt, you're gonna get sore even if you hold this position like for 30 seconds and you even perform reps here, right? Get your head to the floor, you're gonna get sore. And that's why I don't stretch like multiple times a week. I do this mobility routine, those exercises, see the good mornings as well, but you need equipment for those. But just in general, those mobility exercises, those flexibility exercises, you can do them 3 times a week, twice a week even. If we get sore from them, it's just with strength training. If you're sore, you don't want to do them again. So you don't do them every single day. So if you're doing it right, you're not performing these exercises every single day. You perform them with full intent, like 3 times a week, twice a week, maybe 4 times a week if you're just getting started out and you're not getting like as much of adaptations because you can't get into those extreme positions yet. But definitely with time, like once a week is going to be enough for you to maintain that mobility. So yeah, now we got rid of all that tightness around the hip. Another thing you can easily just do is like open up that calf with a simple calf stretch, full intent, pushing into the wall, right? I like to do it like this. Yeah, now I didn't expect that to happen right now. But obviously, you know what I mean. Like, it's again, you see, I'm pushing hard. It's not about like, okay, I'm stretching my calf now. Yeah, it's gonna tighten up within 30 minutes again. You wanna do it with full intent here, full intent, right? And that's when you're actually gonna make those adaptations in your muscle, in your tissue, to really improve your mobility, your flexibility, just feeling better in your body. And then you'll be able to do things like this. Or get I'm almost there, almost into a full split like this. Or kicking up like this. That's when you're gonna get this kind of mobility. So I hope this video helped. If it did, comment below. I was just going about through this whole thing. 4 exercises you gotta focus on. It's really just about targeting each area of the hip, opening up that calf as well. If you want to open up that shin as well, is another exercise. Just doing like this, you gotta open up that shin here. Just sit like this as well. Toes pointed in here, you're gonna open up that shin. And since most athletes really struggle with that lower body, most injuries are lower body injuries. Obviously, shoulder injuries happen as well for about the same reasons, like imbalances, instabilities, lack of mobility. I'm gonna do a video about that soon. But the main thing is really about getting those different areas opened up and strong as well, right? If you get into a pancake, into a standing pancake like this, it's not about just getting flexible. It's about getting strong in this position as well. Ultimately, you can even load it. That's what mobility is like. You're not only flexible, but you're also strong in those different positions. So when you get into an elephant walk, even an elephant walk can be loaded, right? Like this. That's it. That's a loaded elephant walk. And if you watch this, like, you can imagine why I got to this kind of mobility, because I'm out of breath right now. Obviously, I'm talking a lot, I'm ranting, but this isn't, those aren't just easy exercises you're going through like this, like it's nothing. You gotta be with full intent. I'm saying it again, summing it up all. Full intent, thinking about the muscle you're stretching, and then not doing it every single day, because you have your sport you're doing, you have your strength training you're doing. You can't do those extremer mobility exercises like the pancake, an elephant walk. Obviously, you can't do it every single day, just like this, if it feels good. But once you get into those loaded positions with an elephant walk, that's when you're going to save time, because you don't have to do it every single day to feel good. And you're also going to get real adaptations, because it's just like muscle training, just like strength training. You're getting actually breakdown of the muscle tissue, adaptations, getting that longer. And that's when you're really making those gains. Obviously, don't rush into it. It's a process. It took me 1 year, but still, if you think about it, 1 year is really not that much, and you're going to feel so much better. With this video, hopefully you can get to that level even faster with the simple things I mentioned, thinking about the muscle, all of that stuff. So if you find this video helpful, if you resonate with this, if you want to improve your mobility, if you want to feel better in your body in general, I highly recommend as well to check out my exclusive community, Reborn Athletes, where I'm teaching this every single week. We have weekly Q&A calls. We have all the different programs I'm using for my one-on-one clients as well. I've put them in there, so once you join, you get instant access to them as well. You can message me every day, every single hour. I'm going to respond as fast as possible. So that's really the place for those athletes of you that really want to take it more seriously, get just feeling better in your body again, so you can then go and enjoy your sport, chase your dream, whatever. Hope this video helped. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and make sure to stay locked in, especially if you don't feel like it. Peace.